Get ready for some real, relatable, and motivational conversations with podcast host Angela A. Love Lewis. Join her and her guests as they empower you to deal with the inner you so you can heal, believe, and lead yourself to the life of your dreams. It's time to take the limits off and experience true InnerVation. Let's get to it.
Hello, and welcome to InnerVation, motivating you from the inside out. I am your podcast host, Angela A. Love Lewis, and I'm so excited. You know, normally I think it's so important to have guests on who are going to bring value. And so, of course, today is no different. I have the amazing and phenomenal Marschelle Weeks, and she's here to share just some things I think everybody's concerned about. When you think about, your finances and getting your financial house in order, that's usually at the top of the list for most people. And so today, when we think about being at the top of the year still, we're just in February, and a lot of people have money goals, and having someone on the line who can talk to you about getting that financial piece together to set goals that are realistic, but that also will help you with your family, I think is absolutely amazing. So Marschelle, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, glad to have you here as well. Super excited for the information that you're going to give the audience, because I know this is an important topic to many. So before we get started, I did want to go ahead and read your bio, because I think it will give people great background information so that they know a little bit about who you are. Marschelle B. Weeks, MBA, is a licensed financial coach who helps clients get their financial house in order. She helps them create a household budget, identify their financial independence number, ways to save and increase cash flow, and make sure their future income is protected. She enjoys helping families reduce their financial strain and achieve their goals and dreams. Marschelle has over 10 years of success in business and family financial planning, budgeting, and reporting. She has been featured in Voyage ATL magazine and is a member and financial consultant in the CEO District community, where she teaches a financial literacy course in the CEO Academy. Recently, she joined the CEO media team as one of the social media directors. She is married with 2 children, a son and a daughter. She's an avid supporter of her kids' activities. She coaches her son's soccer team and is involved with her children at their dance and karate studios. Sunday brunch after church with family and standing Friday lunch dates with her husband are her favorite activities. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring Miss Marschelle on here, because I tell you, you can't go wrong with somebody who is a soccer coach, helps with the karate studios, has brunch and Friday days. Listen, all the while being very astute in financial literacy. Oh, that's a win-win-win all across the board. So, Marschelle, tell me, how do you balance that, being the mom and being a wife, and then out here trying to teach people about how to protect their families financially?
A lot of prayer, look, confessions, affirmations, and anything else that I can grab a hold on to. They always talk about work-life balance, but when you're working towards something, you will give more time and attention to some things than others. So, it's pretty much like a balancing act. I really feel like, when you're in faith, you can keep a positive attitude about it, because you're going somewhere. You have a purpose in that. Mm-hmm.
Right. I love it. And let's just start from the beginning, because for a lot of people, Marschelle, I'm sure you've heard, most people always say like math and the financial piece of it is such a hard subject. Going to school, a lot of people just didn't have that background to where working with numbers was easy for them. And so for you, what made you choose this pathway as a career choice?
Well, I need to tell you that this is something that I like to do for fun on the side.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I discovered in my early 20s that I like putting budgets together, because I was working on my own. So I was like, oh man, this is kind of fun. And I know that sounds weird. So
it does, Marschelle.
So I would ask friends and family, like, can I do your budget? Or you know how you have conversations and people are saying like, man, I need to save some money, and I would say, well, why don't you let me look at your numbers? I use Excel. There's so many different other softwares you can use, but Excel is just something I'm familiar with, and I don't know, it's easy to me. Or a plain old piece of notebook paper, and I would help people put their numbers on there, along with their bills and, utilities and this, that, and third, and show them that, look, you either have more money than you thought, or you need to slow up in one of these categories so you can have extra money at the end of the month. So I actually did not go to school for it. It's just something that I enjoyed doing. And then it would be years later when I actually got to do it on my own. So surprisingly, yes, I did not go to school for that. I was an accounting major, but I think I was more focused on being in corporate America back then. I wanted the briefcase and the heels and the office and the tall building. But
Right.
then that was the goal. But then you know how you get older, you have kids, and then you start to see life differently because of different things you've experienced. So yeah, long story short, did not go to school for it.
Wow. And that's so amazing because, like you say, when you start talking about budgets, girl, people start breaking out in hives. They're just like, oh,
Right.
no, we're not trying to budget up over here. No, ma'am. However, as you start getting older, especially when you start having families, you start recognizing that you do really need to pay attention to how you're spending your money and, ways to really save, because especially now with all the price increases and things, since the pandemic has hit, it has been really
Mm-hmm.
crucial for people to start paying attention to where their money goes. So what's the first
Absolutely.
thing, Marschelle, that you would recommend to someone to start doing?
I would ask them to, let's put your numbers on paper, because we need to tell your money where to go. Sometimes, well, it isn't sometimes, because I've experienced this different periods in my life, young and not knowing any better. Get
Mm-hmm.
paid and you're just out spending. And it's like, no, before that check hits that checking account or your mailbox, we need to have written down somewhere, piece of paper, Microsoft Word, whatever you use, list out what you have to pay each month and put how much that is and total it up. So when you see the amount on that check, you can say, okay, I have enough to cover my bills. You may see that, okay, I have money to give. That's when we absolutely should know to pay ourselves. 10% is what I typically start out with. Now, if they cannot do 10%, 5%, $5. Put something to the side. I don't care. $5. That's exactly what my mom and grandma used to tell me. I don't care if it's $5. Put it to the side, because that $5 will add up. And you may need a tire replaced. And even if you can't get the brand new tire, that might be a $60 tire, a used tire, but you can be on your way. And I'm talking about what I know when I didn't have a lot of money, and that's exactly what I had to do, because I couldn't afford to go to Pep Boys and get a whole set. Sometimes you have to get a phone,
Right.
So it's
That's
like,
great advice. Great
yes,
advice.
and
You're absolutely right.
but if you're putting the $5 or so aside, if something, a little emergency comes up, at least it's there. So put your numbers on the page, total up your bills, and total up everything. And see, that to me is one of the hardest things too, because it forces you to plan. So if we get that phone call, hey girl, you want to go out this weekend? If you did your budget, that will determine whether or not you should go or not.
What you say,
So,
being bored in the house has nothing to do with it. It's whether you can afford to do it or not.
Or not. Absolutely.
And it's such great advice, Marschelle. And the thing about it that I guess most people don't realize is it can all be so simple, but you have to do the work. You have to take the time to evaluate what you have going on, put it on a piece of paper, and then once you get clear on where you are, now you know how to move. Now you know what you can do. But I'm like you. I remember my dad used to tell me growing up, like, girl, you need to put such and such amount of money to the side. And again, like you said, even if it's $5, like it adds up. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't appreciate the fact that small things matter. And over a period of
Right.
time, you're looking at, especially if you put it somewhere where it can get compound interest, that thing, if you just leave it alone and don't bother it, it can really amass a lot. Or again, like you
Yes,
said, if you need something small, something happens, at least you've got a resource that you can tap into. So that's great, great information. So Marshelle, let me
exactly.
ask you this. What about how early? Because I know for a lot of people, you want to talk about financial literacy and talk about it with children. What's the earliest age, I guess, or is that something that you can really approach your kids with?
My kids are 7 and 8, and each age range, there's a way that you can talk about money. Kids have toys, and, some of these dolls and things come with cash registers. Or I've seen some that come with a debit card, like a little fake debit card.
Girl,
Like,
they get real
they're
realistic.
real realistic. Yes, I'm looking like, what in the world? It's like the child can hardly form a sentence and they got a plastic debit card in their hand, but that's the society that we live in. Spend,
Yes.
spend, 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 spend. And so you can teach a child quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies. You can teach them what saving is like. You can teach them, when they start to get a little older in school, like, I think our kids will probably be doing decimal points in the next year or so, but you can write $3 because, grandma may have given them $3, and you can show them on a piece of paper how to put 3, the decimal point 00, and then move that decimal point over for 10%, 30 cents. And that's for, those of us who may, tithe. You can show them how to tithe. So when they're in children's church, they can say, okay, I can take 30 cents out of my bank. The next thing, and we're late doing, and that's probably because of the pandemic and all, taking them in to open up their own account. We've been talking about doing a separate account, because you know how a lot of people get excited when a child is first born. They may open up a college fund, and it's like, you learn more. And now we're looking at which mutual fund to open, because like you said, Angela, compound interest. So when we put our money away and we're working every day, that money's in the background. It's being removed from your check. It's put into an account, and that interest is growing. And then that interest earns interest. So anyone who has children, again, there are accounts out here that I help people with where you only need $25 a month, which is perfect for someone who's starting out with small kids. Expenses are high, so may not have that much to save. And then again, because of the pandemic, so many people have lost their jobs or hours cut, or, maybe they have an underlying medical condition where they cannot go into the office. Having a mutual fund where $25 is the minimum, most people can do that, $25 for the month. And so, and I'm flip-flopping here, but same thing with the child. That child may be 5. Even if you start at 10, I want to emphasize it's never too late. Even if you're 55 years old, it's never too late. You can still open up a mutual fund and take advantage of that compound interest, like you said, Angela.
That's so powerful. So two things I want to hone in on. Number one, let's start with the most recent of what you said, $25, regardless of the age. And I think that's so powerful that, like you said, for most people, 25 a month is something very doable. And so, just being able to understand that that's an avenue that's open to you. So for all of the people who are listening, definitely we're going to give you some information on how to connect with Marschelle. But I think just being able to know that I can take $25 a month and really position myself or my children to have a really good future, regardless of the age. And so I think that's really important. But I want to go back to two things you said a moment ago about teaching the kids how to do 10% for tithing purposes. And then in the beginning of the conversation, you also said about setting aside 10% for yourself. And, growing up, I'm a preacher's kid. So, of course, I'm very aware of tithing. But at the same time, was not really told a lot about setting aside 10% for myself. As I've gotten, older, I've, of course, heard it spoken about. But that concept seems to not be something that's really talked about in homes, as far as making sure you pay yourself first. Can you expound on that a little bit as far as getting started with that process? Hi, my name is Angela Lewis, and I am the editor-in-chief of iShine Magazine and host of iShine Podcast. And I come to you now to tell you about an amazing partnership we have with AddVoyces. Yes, we are bringing you next-level, tailor-made audio and video advertisements that can get you in front of the masses. We want to be able to help you showcase your business, get it inside iShine Magazine and on various podcasts. That's right, your very own commercial. And the bonus is you get to keep the content to showcase on your website as well as your social media platforms. You cannot beat that. We want to help you level up in 2022. So join us. Visit us at www.getvisibilitynow.com. And then we will help you to get tailor-made plans that will fit your budget and help you to make an impact like no other. So join us. We look forward to connecting with you. Two things you said a moment ago about teaching the kids how to do 10% for tithing purposes. And then in the beginning of the conversation, you also said about setting aside 10% for yourself. And, growing up, I'm a preacher's kid. So, of course, I'm very aware of tithing. But at the same time, was not really told a lot about setting aside 10% for myself. As I've gotten, older, I've, of course, heard it spoken about. But that concept seems to not be something that's really talked about in homes, as far as making sure you pay yourself first. Can you expound on that a little bit as far as getting started with that process?
Sure. Paying yourself 10%. Now, my godfather used to say that to me all the time. He's been saying this and it just didn't click because, I was probably about to go get my nails done and look at
right.
What you talking about. And, but pay yourself first. So if you are able to take 10% of your check before you pay anything else, put it aside. Here's the thing, and I don't want to get carried away, but I want to just be clear. So when your check hits your account, and let's just say you've already prepared your budget for the month, maybe you get paid biweekly, some teachers get paid monthly. So let's just say we prepared our monthly budget, and you make sure you have a line item in there for you, 10% of your take home. So let's use small numbers because I haven't had any coffee yet. So let me keep it small. So let's just say $1,000. Okay. Let's just say that's 1 week. And we're going to move the decimal point. 10% that you would put away for you would be $100. So $100, you would do that first, if you are able to. Now, if your take home meets the bills that you have to pay, you may not be able to do that. You may have to put $5 away, like we were talking about. I just never want to discourage anyone, no matter how much you get paid, because it might be tight right now, but it may not be that way next month, right? Because we're always working on an additional stream of income. That's the other thing I help people do. So we want to make sure that if your check is $2,000, move the decimal point over, put $200 away if you're able. That's your savings. That could be the start of your emergency fund. We may have the little emergency where we have to plug the tire, but what if a crown breaks, in your mouth at lunch? That might cost $100. We know that it's going to rain. We just don't know when. So when you pay yourself first, you're setting something off to the side in case of. Here's something else that I thought about, things that I do to kind of put money in different places. I have little online accounts. I have my bill pay account, and then I have it's only 2 online accounts. Nothing major. I send $10 and $5, maybe $20 over to that account. It's just set up automatically. I do that also with the kids. So these are just accounts I created. The money there is never meant to really stay. For example, class pictures, they sent something home. There was money over there just sitting. So I didn't have to take from my bill pay account. I just took it from over there because I know that, $5, $10 is going to be over there the next pay period. So pay yourself 10% if you can, but maybe create another account on off to the side, have an amount to be transferred over automatically so you don't see it. Even if you can only start out with 10, or you only can, $10 is what you can do. One day you're going to open that account and it's going to blow your mind, because you're going to say, I forgot all about this. So I'm saying two things here. If you can, pay yourself 10%. You got paid, now pay yourself, because when we pay all the bills and things, we don't have anything left over. So that's why we want to pay ourselves first if you're able. But if you're starting out tight, open up one of those online bank accounts, something that has zero fees, and start transferring $5 or $10 over there each pay period. You will, I promise you'll forget about it. And you will open it up and say, wow, I have $200 and didn't even know it. You see what I'm saying? So there are all sorts of ways. Because when we get that money is gone. Because, especially when you have kids, because we love our children. We want them to have, light, water, gas, then gas for the car, food. And, look, Sue and Johnny have this, Sue and Johnny have that.
Right.
How they jump around and say you wake up owing somebody $150 when you have kids. You owe somebody. So pay yourself first so you can have something off to the side. So after everybody else is taken care of, you have something. Because we take care of everybody else. 3 days after we get paid, what's left for us?
Exactly. And I think there's just such a great principle to have. I know even my husband, he not only does that, but a lot of times he has this little kind of like a little Coca-Cola savings bottle type thing. And so he randomly throws, dollar bills in there, or $5, on occasion. And so it adds up. I mean, he may
Yeah.
in a couple of months time look at him have like, $200 or $300, and he's like, wow. So
Right.
it's just good sometimes, because if you put it to the side and you don't think about it, it can definitely add up very quickly. So
Yeah.
I love that you're giving that advice. So now I want to switch gears, because as we're talking about putting money to the side, let's also talk about, protecting your family. So I know that, you have a lot of vehicles that people can utilize that can care for your family in the event things happen. How do they go about putting those things in place?
Wonderful question, because I was thinking about that, because that goes kind of hand in hand with the investment. So we're working every day, we're getting paid, we're paying ourselves. We've talked about that. What we're also doing is putting in protections, income protection, also known as life insurance. Why is that important? It's important because if the worst happens, if we were to walk out of this, our home and not return, everything that we have going on, utilities, mortgage, car payments, kids' activities, retirement, we want our spouse, significant other, children, we want them to be able to continue in our absence. We don't want to leave our family to pay the debt that we were working on, because, we are working on paying down our debt. Something happens, and then whoever's left is typically held responsible. They're the ones getting the phone calls, having to, fend off collections. We don't want that. So we put our life insurance in place that covers our death, funeral, which ranges from $15,000 to $20,000. It covers our income. We want to leave our family with 10 years of our income, because you're giving them the opportunity to regroup. They're missing you physically, but can you imagine what is going on also in their heads when there's no money, and you are a 2-income household? Or you have someone, a single parent, who passes away. The children, they may be almost grown, but how many of us know, when we think back at 18, we weren't even that grown. We were just 18. But
Right.
how do they, so how do they manage in life when there's nothing left behind for grandma or auntie or, whoever you have told, if something should happen to me, I want you to see to my kids, take care of my kids. Can they move in with you? We want to leave that person who has to be special, to leave our children. We want them to be able to take care of them, because quite honestly, we don't know what is going on in the bank accounts of other people. We may see people and say, oh, they got it going on, but if something happens to you, they may say, well, I can't handle all of this because I'm barely able to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
life insurance takes care of the funeral, income, your mortgage. You don't want your significant other to have to sell the house. They're
Yeah.
mourning you. I've been through that with my dad. Lost my dad at a young age, 14 years old, critical age, and he didn't have insurance, a policy that he owned separately. My mom went to write it up, but he just didn't make it back to sign it. He was going to sign it, but he just so happened to pass before going back to the office. So my mom had to manage a 2-income household overnight to one income. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about we need to invest our money while we're working. We're working anyway. The time has passed to invest your money and then put that income protection into place. So if the worst happens, you're covered. You don't have to think about it. If it comes to this, and I'm only saying this because, again, I've experienced it. My mom went through cancer and she passed from the complications of. On her deathbed, she was able to rest. She wasn't worried about her 4 girls. Her husband had preceded her in death. She could rest and go on home to be with the Lord peacefully and not go, what in the world are they going to do? She took care of us. We didn't have to think. We were able to grieve. All we had to do was, we want this, we want that, we need to do this, we need to do that. And then we were able to put money aside for ourselves and for the children who were to come. And now we're all at the point where we all have kids. And even my mom left aside something for the children. And she was a
Wow.
teacher. A teacher, you all. You don't have to be no CEO. You can be working at Target. You can be a manager at Target, and you can set up investments in life insurance. Do not let society tell you you have to be all of this and all of that. Look, you already all this and all that, right? But you don't have to hold a title or make a certain amount of money to have these protections in place. You love your family. You want to make sure they're protected. You're going to live a long life. You want to have some retirement in place. If you want to take cruises and visit your grandkids and look, what do they call them today, Angela? A grandma? You want to be a grandma and
Yes.
on a cruise, receiving a check every month for the investments that you made while you were working? You can set that up today. Like, I just want to see everyone win because of what I experienced. And now that I know that these things can be avoided, we can't put them to the side. We can't, I'll get to that. We need to handle that just for the peace of mind.
That's so amazing and so great. I love having these type of conversations because even though people don't want to deal with it, bottom line, we all know that we have a time stamp on how long we're going to be here. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about it is, it's so much better to make those decisions when you're able to than it is when you're not. And I
Right.
think, all of us have, especially, with the pandemic, seen how quickly it can shift. Some people have prior knowledge, but now when you look on the news and every day you're seeing that people are passing because of COVID-19, it is just that much more significant for you to go out and really make sure you have things in place while you can. I know a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, depend on their jobs, and that's not always the best thing to do,
Right.
and so if you can speak about that a little bit, Marschelle, I think that would be great as well.
Sure. So on the job, and I like to use myself as an example. I really feel that, a lot of the things that we may go through is for somebody else.
Right.
I remember, when you're young and you just love your job and, you're an adult and out of your parents' home and we put all our benefits, everything is job, job, job. What happens when we get laid off or furloughed? Let me tell you all this quick story. I'm laughing now. I wasn't laughing then, but let me tell you this quick story. I had bought a car. They told me not to buy a car, but I'm young. I know everything. I bought a car. Now, bought the car on a Friday night. Went back to work on a Monday and got laid off. Do you
Wow.
know? Yes. Yes. I should have listened. See, let me drop that in, that little jewel. When people tell us things sometimes now I understand we have to use our own discernment, and you do. But, I just really feel that God has people popping up telling us things, and sometimes we ignore it. And he'll be
Mm-hmm.
speaking to a person because they told me not to buy that car. They said, and it was so hard what I had to go through. We were there a long time. Went back to work on Monday and got laid off from this job that I loved. Oh, my goodness. And that I didn't have any medical. I had no insurance. I had nothing. And I had already passed the age where I was no longer on my mom's insurance, because I think now 25 years old, maybe the age, I think they,
I want to say 25 or 26, I believe they've expanded
right.
that.
Now, see, back then it was when you finished college, or 21, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
they've changed that. But yeah, I was just like, you better get another job. And I just remember a family member saying, well, you can come park the car behind my house, because if you don't make that payment, they coming to get that car. They can come pick that
Yes.
car up. So we have to have. Now, I was young. I didn't really know any better. They didn't get my car. Thank God. I did get another job. Look, it was easy to get jobs back then. You upload that resume on monster.com, somebody calling you in the next 10 minutes. So I did slide into something else. But what I'm saying is, now that I am an adult, as my mom says, stone grown with my own kids, I can't have
Mm-hmm.
anybody picking up my car and losing my job and things like that. So
Right.
having that life insurance policy outside your job, that is going to help you, because we're aging. Life insurance, the prices or premium is based on your age, your non-smoking status, your health. So if you starting on a job 30 years old, you want to go on and get your policy because it's going to be so inexpensive for you, opposed to you hit 55 and you're like, well, I think it's time for me to come on out of here. Well, let me go get my life insurance, and a $50,000 policy is $200. You only getting $50,000. That's not going to pay that house off or leave 10 years of your income. So we want to do these things early on. I had a client who purchased a policy for her 21-year-old because he's in his own apartment. And she's like, I have some for him, but it's not enough. We need to be able to cover school loans and all of that. So that's something I help people with. We can sit down and see what you have, because we want to protect your assets. But yeah, we when we tie everything into our job, when that job decides to quit us, or we decide to quit the job, or what if you want to quit your job, but you have so much tied up, you don't get to go after the dream because you have everything tied up in a job. And I'm understand, because a lot of times I work just for the medical benefits. So I'm not saying don't do that. But as far as your life insurance is concerned, that is something you definitely need to have on the side. And start out young. If you have a 25-year-old, they can get their own. If you have children who are under 25, I put people on the parents' policy. They can stay on there until 25, and there's just so many other benefits, such as if something happened to the parents and the child isn't 25 yet, they're still covered until they're 25 years old. So there's so many different things, protections that we can put in place, living benefits. If you become terminally ill, we help people. They can get a portion of their policy. That's what my mom also had when she got sick. She used up the sick leave, vacation leave, and then her insurance kicked in to pay her while she was going through the chemo treatment. So that's just protection. Terminal illness, disability, that's all included with the life insurance policy when my clients work with me.
Wow. Listen, this has been such great information. I mean, again, it's a lot of times topics that people don't want to talk about, but at the same time, it's things that we need to start getting in order. And so I really appreciate you, Marschelle, really going down through the list from paying yourself first to setting aside, a little bit of money, regardless of how much it is, to talking about, you can get into mutual funds for just $25 per month. And then also talking about how insurance can protect you and your family if something were to happen. And I just think that this is a time where we all need to, reevaluate where we are so that we can start putting some things in place, because there's nothing like peace of mind. And when you
Yeah.
leave out of here, you really want your family to be able to grieve you without being stressed and worried because they're in a financial bind. And so all
Right.
of those things are super, super important. Marschelle, can you let people know how they can get in contact with you if they're wanting to, maybe find out what their position is or what options they have in terms of moving forward with some type of insurance, or even if they just want to talk about finances and how they can make themselves in a better position?
Sure. So first, I'll give out the easiest one. If you're on Facebook, you can reach me at M as in Mary, B as in boy, and then my last name, Weeks. You can also email me, Coach Money, spelled out, and then Mars, like the planet, at gmail.com. I am also on Instagram, if you'd like to reach me there, _things, THINGS, from Mars. You can reach me there. I'm also on LinkedIn, Marschelle B Weeks. You can reach me there. And those are ways that you can reach me. And I'd be glad to talk to you. We could set up a time where we could talk.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, again, Marschelle, this has been such an informative, enlightening conversation, and one that I think a lot of people will appreciate having that additional knowledge, because, of course, as they say, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge. So don't just listen to it. Reach out to Marschelle and make sure you make some things happen, whether it starts with a $25 mutual fund, or whether you're actually going to get some insurance for yourself or your family. Either way, please reach out to her. I think she's excellent at breaking things down to help you understand where you are and to get you to where you want to be. So, Marschelle, thank you again for being on the InnerVation podcast today. I know you have really helped someone when we talk about motivating yourself from the inside out. You've got the mind churning and trying to figure out, how to move forward. And that's a great way to start motivating yourself. So thank you again. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, I want you all to make sure that you share this out. This is some great information, and Marschelle has made it very easy and plain to follow. So, a lot of times we get connected with people and don't understand what they're talking about. And she has just given us some great stories and things to help you to see how important it really is. So, again, thank you for tuning in to InnerVation, motivating yourself from the inside out. Again, I am Angela Lewis. Please like, follow, and share this broadcast out, because somebody needs to hear it and you're going to make a difference in their life. Again, you guys take care. Have a phenomenal, phenomenal rest of the day and week. And we will talk to you and see you on the next broadcast. Y'all be blessed.